Hello, Internet. Oh boy, my cancer trek, video number 60. I cannot believe that I am on the 60th video chronicling my cancer journey that began right about exactly 3 years ago. Most of you guys know I'm an avid journaler. I try to get my laptop out every single morning. The first thing I do when I get out of bed is I hit the button on the coffee pot, pour myself a cup of coffee, and I sit down with my laptop and I journal. And I've had that habit for decades. I have got so many pages, thousands, I'm sure. And so, I journal for several reasons, but one of the byproduct reasons or benefits of journaling is that I can go into my folders and look back on any general date that I can think of and tap into what I was thinking. The kind of journaling I love is stream of consciousness, stream of conscience, however you would say that. I don't have an agenda. I do not like Dear Diary. This is what I did and this is what I'm going to do, even though occasionally it will lapse into something of that kind of flavor. But the purpose is not Dear Diary. The purpose is, it is combination prayer, stream of consciousness, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and of course things that are going on, but all of it wrapped together. It's just kind of my way of touching base with my heart, with my own heart every single day. And if I don't do it, for example, if I'm traveling and I have to get on an airplane or I'm loading up to get in the car at a super early hour of the morning, or I don't know, there are certain situations where I don't have time or I'm too much in a hectic rush when I wake up to go through that ritual, but that's a very, very tiny percentage of the time. I would say 98% of my mornings are spent typing. And a lot of back in the spring, the late winter and early spring, it was a really rough time for me because one of the major side effects of my treatment was that my fingertips were splitting open. It was like someone had taken a knife and cut open my fingertips. That was my number one horrendous side effect from the panitumumab and capecitabine, which were my primary treatment drugs. Actually, the last 2 times I've been on treatment. So when your fingers are splitting open, it's a little bit hard to type. And I had a period of a few weeks where it was super hard, and it was a it was a major lifestyle sacrifice that I still tried, but it was painful, and I ended up only typing like maybe a couple of paragraphs or something. Anyway, how did I get off on all that? Now I don't even remember how I got off on that subject, but I guess, oh, yes, now I remember. It's because just this morning, I dug back to my journals from mid-September, right around this time, around the 20th of September in 2022. And that is when I started to get the real overt symptoms that led to my diagnosis of stage 4 colon cancer on the 31st of October, 2022. And I got pulled into it. I pulled up those documents and I started reading, and I'm like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. Some of you have heard me talk about, I had an oil change scheduled for the morning of the 25th of September. And that was really to me, that is always the day that I will remember that was really the thing of, there is really something wrong with me. I got just very sudden onset of fever and chills, fatigue, and I ended up going to urgent care. I started making appointments to get in to see my primary, and that took a long time. You guys know sometimes how long it can take to go through the motions with our healthcare system. And so anyway, from around the 20th or 25th of September, exactly 3 years ago, until Halloween, so basically 5 or 6 weeks it took me to work things out and get to the point where I actually had a CT scan and got a diagnosis. And my diagnosis came very quickly after the CT scan. Stage 4 colon cancer, thickening of the sigmoid colon wall, numerous, multiple mets, metastasized colon cancer, lesions, tumors on my liver. So we're getting, into the zone now where it's been about 3 years since all of that started to happen. And as I was digging through my old journal entries from 3 years ago, all of that came flooding back to me. And that ties into what I wanted to talk about in this video. I haven't done a very long video for a long time. The last video I posted was right before I went to the men's cancer retreat in Pennsylvania. That was roughly 10 or 11 days ago. I've been back from that retreat for about a week, and I haven't had an opportunity to update you on what happened there. But the reason what I've been talking about for the last 7 minutes ties in is because, for me, the cancer retreat, Man Up to Cancer is the name of the organization, GOW, G-O-W, Gathering of Wolves. This was the 4th year in a row. The Gathering of Wolves is the corporate get-together of all the people who can attend, the members who can attend Man Up to Cancer. We get together at Pocono Springs Camp in eastern PA. It's very close to the New Jersey border. But the whole point that I want to convey is what an unbelievably rich, amazing weekend it was. There were about 150, 152, something like that, men ranging in age from late 20s, believe it or not, all the way up through the 70s, maybe. I'm not sure if there were guys in their 80s or not, but it's very interesting what a wide range of ages there are, people with cancer, and pretty much everything that you can think of in the cancer world. The vast majority of men there are dealing with some form of colorectal cancer, but I would say my particular specific cancer, stage 4 colon cancer, probably has the highest representation. There are people with other forms of colorectal cancer. There's, I would say probably the next on the list would be prostate, testicular, brain cancer, lung cancer, pancreatic cancer, neuroendocrine, skin, various melanomas, and also lymphomas and blood cancers. So even male breast cancer is represented there. So, probably any cancer you can think of, there's at least one guy there who is dealing with that. And one thing that you learn pretty quickly, and I've heard this repeated so many times, no matter what you're dealing with, and if you think you've got it bad, you realize somebody else has it worse. Most of you know my story. I've got a pretty intense story, especially the first 1.5 years, the first 18 months of my cancer journey, with 3 major surgeries, ablations, chemotherapy treatments, endocarditis. I mean, I had it bad, you guys know, between basically late October of 22 and about April of 24. Let's say March, after my heart surgery, after my heart valve replacement. So, the more I go through this and the more people I meet and the more I process, I realize that yes, it did not even occur to me how bad things were during that first year or year and a half. I was a sick puppy and I had multiple issues going on all at the same time. But interestingly enough, I have met guys through the Man Up to Cancer organization who've had it worse than me and who are fighting and struggling more severely for longer. My issue that I try to be continuously grateful for is that I had that first 18 months that were such a severe slog. But then the following 18 months, taking us up from basically spring of 2024 until the present time, I have been doing pretty well, even though I've been on a couple of rounds of treatment and I've had an ablation back in July. For the most part, I have been doing much better the second half of the 3-year period since I've been diagnosed. There are some guys who are just fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. They never really get off treatment. They have very short breaks. You guys know I have an ileostomy, which means I carry a stoma bag. And I also had a urinary catheter for almost a year back in 2023. But I know guys who are double and triple, we call them ostomates. That means people who have ostomy devices, colon, colectomy or colostomy bags, and also urostomy bags. So there are guys who are just fighting a lot of stuff, and not to mention other things going on in people's families. You meet guys who are not only battling with their own cancer journey, but they are in family situations where they are required to be a caregiver for multiple generations of people. There's one friend of mine, he's actually local from here in Minnesota. He has his own cancer fight, but his wife is in a wheelchair. His daughter requires caregiving, and his father is in the throes of serious dementia. So he has got father, wife, daughter that he is a caregiver responsible for, in addition to his own cancer. So, I think that's a good lesson in life. We are prone to woe-is-me-ism and looking at our situation and thinking, oh gosh, it's so awful. But, I'm sorry to say, when you get out and about and you start mixing and mingling with people in the cancer world and in the elder care world and basically anywhere in the medical / illness disease world, you find that it doesn't take a long time to find somebody who's carrying an even heavier burden than you are. And that helps keep me grounded. It keeps me stable and mature in my own thinking, dealing with my own emotions, and also in my own personal spiritual life, to pray for people, to reach out to other people, because it's not all about me. And I hope you guys hear what I'm saying. I think it's easy for us in life when we are overwhelmed to think that it's all about us and the universe revolves around us and our problems. And yet you realize that there's an awful lot of people out there who've got a heck of a lot on their plate. So anyway, I wanted to convey those thoughts, and I'm now at 15 minutes, so I think I'll wrap it up. But so I guess the bottom line here is I'm reaching the 3-year mark from my first serious symptoms when I started to realize I could not pull the ostrich and bury my head in the sand anymore. And I had to confront my illness. That was basically, we're hitting the 3-year mark of that. And then I also wanted to update you guys about the gathering of wolves in Pennsylvania with Man Up to Cancer and how much I enjoyed it. Those guys, I'm so grateful to all of them. Great friendships made. I texted my brother and I said, when you meet guys who are dealing with cancer, things get real pretty quick. There's not a lot of shallow conversation. And it's quite fascinating and strangely enjoyable. So I will leave it at that. And I will thank you again very much for checking in, for listening. I don't say this very often, but if you would like and subscribe, it helps push my videos out. I've had some videos that have pulled in close to 500 views, but then a lot of my videos don't get a lot of views. I don't know why. I need to be more diligent about saying like and subscribe, but I get so sick of hearing that myself with videos I watch, I'm hesitant to say so. But it does make a difference with the YouTube algorithm. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching this all the way to the end. And I send my love and my appreciation out to each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.